That's good.
All right, so for your next step, you've got to blow off the car. You got to make sure you get all the dust off the car because we are going after these little pinholes, okay? And what happens is when you're sanding, they fill up with dust and then you don't see them. So that's the type of stuff we are about to fix, is little pinholes. Some of your body work won't hardly have any in it. Some of them will just have a couple like this one. Let's see here. This one doesn't really have any in it at all, so it don't need to be swiped. But you'll just go around and we're gonna fill in all of the pinholes. So the product that we're gonna use is Dolphin Glaze, and I actually have a brand new thing of it in here, how it comes when you buy it. So it comes with the hardener and it comes with the actual product itself. You're gonna do this just like you would body filler, okay? You're gonna spread it out, but this stuff takes an extremely little amount of hardener. It doesn't take much hardener at all. So I'm gonna mix it up. There's the part number. There's the brand name. Okay, if you need to look it up on Amazon, eBay, if you don't have a paint store near you. I'm gonna mix it up. I'll show you how I add the hardener to it, but this stuff does kick off pretty fast, even when you put a little bit of hardener in it. So I'm not gonna be able to sit here and play around with the camera while I'm spreading it. You're gonna spread it out just like you do body filler. Nothing unique, nothing fancy. I want to try to see if I can get a brand new spreader. I don't know if I have one in stock, but you're just gonna lay it out and get it over all your pinholes, and then once I get that done, I will catch back up with y'all and show you the after the final product. So this one don't look too bad. I need to buy some new ones. So let me get this mixed up. So we're gonna mix this a little cold, meaning not as much filler, since I am about to go to lunch and I can let this dry. That's actually probably too much, honestly. That's literally probably too much, just so y'all can get an idea. So I'm gonna put the phone back down and mix this up like I showed y'all how to mix up with the body filler in the other video. You know, you smooth it, don't twirl it, and then I'm gonna go to lunch and let this dry out. All right, so we're done with lunch. It was kind of like a McDonald's day, a burger day, but let me show y'all what we got going on. Let me show you some problems, and let me educate you on a couple things real fast. So we got our Dolphin Glaze all laid out, put all over everything. Basically, you do your body filler, okay? And then you'll come back and skim over it with Dolphin Glaze, and that fills in sand scratches, fills in pinholes, fills in all kinds of imperfections. So that's what sucks when you start. That's the reason why I said the other day that it's like you do everything, then you do it all over, because you have stuff like this where now we have to kind of go back again, you know, and clean these holes out because I got it all inside here. Again, this is what I wanted to show you. So I threw the spreader in the trash, but I have these lines in here because basically the end of the spreader that I grabbed and that I was using had a nick in it. So if you're using a used spreader, I'll show you like this one. Okay, you see that nick right there? All right, that's gonna cause that line in there. So I'm bad about reusing spreaders. This is the one I just used and it was pretty good. Need to buy some more. They're not that expensive. Look, this one I've used so many times that's cracking, but the edge is still nice and straight. But you get stuff like that and then you just have to sand it out. I mean, all this gets sanded. This actually took 3 mixes. So if you remember how big of a puddle I made a second ago, this took 3 of them to get all of these covered. And you have to mix this stuff you have to sling this stuff pretty fast unless you barely put any hardener in it at all. So it kind of makes a mess. It's extremely loose. You know, there's guys that lay this stuff out like pure art, okay? If you do this every day, I don't sling Dolphin Glaze every day. I might sling Dolphin Glaze. First off, if it's not customer, we don't sling Dolphin Glaze. So all of these flip cars, we actually just use primer to fill the pinholes. God, body guys are about to be flipping out for that. You're not supposed to use primer to fill pinholes. Oh my God, the world's gonna come to a freaking end. I do though on flip cars. So on flip cars, I just put no primer on it so thick that it runs down into the pinholes and fills them, and the world does not end. We always wake up the next day, the car always sells, and life goes on, and we always are counting cash going to the bank. Customer jobs though, different monster. Try to do these, you know, the best of my ability, and stay within our budget. So these all get Dolphin Glaze. So this one right here, I took an hour lunch, and this is actually, okay, you can see where my fingernail's digging in it. It's actually still sticky. So it's not even 100% dry. And I mixed that one with not a lot of filler at all. So all of these lips are not 100% dry yet. I mean, I mixed them with not a lot of hardener in them. So that's gonna take, you know, a decent amount more time to dry. The first ones I slung, they're dry, ready to go. So them are gonna, you know, the lips and that one right there and whatever else was in that batch, that right there, that one right there, them are gonna be a little bit more of a pain to dry out, because I was trying not to put a lot of hardener in them so that it didn't flash off that fast. But now you have to deal with it drying extremely freaking slow. So this stuff's a pain to work with. That's the reason why a lot on flip cars we just rock and roll with primer. But this makes for your body filler to be nicer when it's finished, because it fills in all the imperfections. So we did around the lips. We just took it and coated around all the lips really nice and thick. That way I can come back and just sand it off, and it will stay in the lows, and we'll sand off the waste. That way I know I have perfect lips whenever we're done. And then everything else we just got to smooth out. So I'm gonna grab some 180 on the DA, and I'm gonna start knocking this rough stuff down with the DA. Once I get close to being down, you know, like once I get these grooves out of here and the chunks, you know, and trash like that off the car, you know, this big glob right here, that's what I do with the DA to knock that stuff down. You know, trash on the edges like this, then I'll probably start hand blocking. We'll guide coat this and start hand blocking some of this to make sure everything is straight, and then we'll move on into primer today. Mike, why is it so dusty in here? Who's making a mess? You are? Mike, what are you doing over here, bud?
I'm working.
What are you filming?
Content. Oil pan on this piece of junk Dodge Charger.
But you don't post any of your content. You just film it and hoard it and hide it from everybody.
I like to film it.
But you just don't post any of it.
I rewatch it. It's like porn. Mechanic porn.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back over here and do body work. I'm gonna. No, you won't. No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
All right, you got it on video.
Huh?
It's on video right now that you'll have it up tonight.
I'll have it up tonight by...
What today? What's today? What am I on? I'm on Tuesday? Wednesday?
Tuesday. May
Tuesday. May the 24th. You're gonna have it up by 12 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I will.
You ain't even had this job done by 12 o'clock tonight.
Dude, I had a job done an hour and a half.
You leave at 2 o'clock.
No, not today. If that's the case, I got to leave here in about 15
All right, no, you gotta leave. You'll come up with some crap. Yeah, there you go, coughing. All right, so we got everything 180'd out. Sent it out with 180. If you're wondering what I did originally, we'll go over that again. I 180'd the whole car. Used 180 grit, ran over the whole car, knocked most of it down, scuffed it down, and then I went back and did my body filler. I sanded my body filler down with 80 grit. That's what I always work body filler down with. And then we did our Dolphin Glaze, and then we come back over our Dolphin Glaze with 180 again, and blend it out to the rest of 180. So basically the whole shell of the car right now is in 180 grit stage. So there's been no 320 on it. It's 180 because of how rough it was. It's an older car. If this was a newer car and the paint was in decent shape, we would have 320'd it. We're gonna go ahead and get this trim off the back window. The other week, you know, we popped off the trim on the front window because there was just one piece left. I had ordered this tool in so that I don't damage his trim. So it is made by Gear Wrench. There is the part number if you want to look it up. It's got hooks on it, double-sided, and I showed you on the front trim video how that comes apart, you know, and how it works. I explained all that, how the clips work. I'll show you again real fast on this, how this tool works. So you've got two ends on it, that end, that end. I believe they are basically the same, honestly. Just depends on what angle you want to use. So what you're doing is you're going in and you're getting under your trim and you're lifting your trim out like that, okay? So going in, hooking it, lifting it off the car like that, and that's what's going to release it. You can do either side, whatever side you want. You just got to make sure that you are getting under that.
It looks like, honestly, let's see here. It's like angles are a little different. So it's easier for me to do this side for some reason. Oh, because of the way the clip is angled. That's what it is. So that clip moves on you like that. So depending on where it's sitting at will depend on how easy it is for you to get inside that little groove. The groove you're looking for is right there. That's the groove you're looking for. So you can go up in there, you're gonna hook it, and then that pulls that open, okay? So I'm not gonna be able to do this one-handed. There's really nothing to film. We're just gonna go under here, drag it like that, find the clip, and when we find the clip, we're gonna do just like I just showed you up front, and then we're gonna work all this trim apart. Let's see here, can't remember if the top or bottom comes off first. Looks like the bottom comes off first, actually. So I'm gonna open this trunk lid back up. The lock solenoid is missing on this trunk lid. So if you have the same project and your lock solenoid is missing, you actually just go through here with a flathead screwdriver, and you'll see a little slot in there. See that slot? So you'll go up in there with a screwdriver. Let's see if I can do this with the camera. You'll turn that, so you will turn it like that, and that will release it so you can open your trunk lid up. So from what everybody's told me is you're actually supposed to have some clips down there that this one does not. Randy's also does not have it, but you can see this thing just comes right off because there is no clips, I guess, that are supposed to be. I don't really know. I'm not a Fox body expert. I do know it's supposed to be locked into them little guys right there. That it was not. So it's probably gonna be fun to put this thing back on. These things suck. Honestly, they suck really bad. So we're gonna put this get this trim off and get it inside the car safely, and then move on to, we're almost ready to start washing this thing and prepping for primer. Man, I just sent the owner a picture. I said, man, ain't no way you're going fast with 80 pounds hanging off the back. I said, man, boy, you better cut some of that weight out. Y'all don't get beat by a street car. This thing is a street car with a back seat, still got the bumpers or the crash bars in the back of it, everything, man. I hope y'all don't let this car beat y'all. All right, so we got it in the booth, ready for primer just for the shell. I was gonna go ahead and prime it today, but ran out of time. It is 4:30, 4:45-ish, and we just, it's not gonna happen this afternoon. Not the end of the world. What the plan is now, I'm gonna switch it up a little, which is gonna give the customer a better job anyway. Originally, I was going to prime it today, block it tomorrow, paint it tomorrow afternoon, and then let the shell sit painted over the next week as we do the other parts. But we all know, if you know anything about paint body work, you got what they call shrink back, where your primer shrinks, and stuff like that. So Randy's car has a little bit of shrink back, where you can see we did body work at the perfect angle. When it's perfectly in the light, you can see it. It's really hard to see if you don't know what you're looking for, so the average person will never see it. But we know what it is. So what we're going to do now, I think, is we will come in tomorrow and we will not prime this thing right away. And I think what I'm going to do is move on to the deck lid in the morning, get the deck lid off and get the doors off. The deck lid is extremely straight, meaning it's going to be extremely easy to do the deck lid. So we'll get the deck lid prepped for primer tomorrow, and we'll actually go ahead and prime the deck lid with the car probably, and I may try to paint it with the car. I don't know yet, but we're definitely going to go ahead and get the deck lid primed. That way the shell's in primer, deck lid's in primer, and then we'll probably start breaking down the doors tomorrow. And I might actually go ahead and try to do the hood tomorrow too. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll focus on the deck lid and the hood tomorrow, and then prime it all together tomorrow afternoon, and then we will finish out the week working the doors, and we'll let the car sit in the primer. This weekend is Memorial Day weekend, so it's a 3.5 day weekend for us. So we'll probably let the car sit for that whole period, shrinking back on the primer, and then maybe that Tuesday we'll block the primer out and start slinging some paint if all goes smooth. All right, so this morning we have our car in the booth. We're going to hold off on the primer instead of knocking it out this morning for no reason. We're going to add a couple more things primed with it. So this might be the situation a lot of y'all have found yourself in. All of this is kind of the very, very start of fine rust. Basically, this was a brand new trunk lid, it appears, or it had got put into primer at some point. Either way, maybe it is the old one. No, I'm pretty sure this is brand new. So this is how they come, okay, with this black E-coat. This is how parts come on new vehicles. They look just like this. When they come out the box, there's a hood box, and here's a hood this morning. It's brand new, okay? So y'all might throw this on your vehicle and think that you can just ride around and roll with it. You can't. All that is like an E-coat or a very thin primer, depending on the part. The sun takes it right off in no time, and then what you're left with is this, and then it will start rusting. So it's very, very thin. It's not made to block necessarily. It's not like a high build primer or nothing like that. So the sun just eats it right up. So what we're gonna do is, this thing's not dented, it's not damaged, nothing like that, is we're just gonna grab us some wet sandpaper. I'm probably just gonna grab, I don't know, I'll see what I got on the shelf over there. Use anything from 320 all the way up to whatever you want to go, as high as you want to go. Higher you go, the harder it's going to be on you. Lower you go, the more you're going to take off your E-coat. So I'm probably going to try to find somewhere around the 600 grit this morning, maybe even 1,000, and just run over it and just smooth it out to the touch of my hands. It don't have to be perfect, because then we're going over top of this with a high build primer, and I don't want to take too much of the original E-coat off of it and then deal with exposed metal like that. That's where the sander hit it whenever I was on the quarter panel. So I just want to lightly scuff this thing down so that it's not rough, and make sure everything is scuffed for adhesion. And then we're going to put a thick layer of primer over this trunk lid. Shouldn't have no dents or nothing to fix in it. Should be able to just block this thing straight out and rock and roll. All right, so we scuffed it down with some, let's see here, what did I use? Just out of curiosity, so y'all will know. 280. So I scuffed it down with some 280, which is actually pretty low, but that's some wore out 280 grit. And all I did was just lightly scuff it down to knock the trash out of it. You have some trash like that right there, a little nipple, and then we actually have a ding that you should be able to see in the reflection right there. And then let's see here, there was another ding somewhere else, but it was very minor. There was a ding right there. You'll see the camera roll across it right there. So these are all super small. So I feel like primer will fill that in. There's no reason to do Dolphin Glaze or anything like that. We're going to have a thick enough primer coat on this that we'll be able to block that out. So that one's prepped on the top side for primer. Get the soap off of me. And we can send that straight through the booth like that. The bottom side won't get primer because it's already primed, and then the E-coat and everything's in good shape. It's not like it needs anything, so that side will just get scuffed and painted straight over top of it. And it's a bottom anyway, so we never put primer on the bottom. The top, though, you're good to go for primer. All right, same thing on our hood. The only thing difference that we did with our hood is I actually ran over it with a DA with 320 grit beforehand, because basically on the fiberglass part, normally you have a lot of orange peel and crap that needs to be kind of knocked down before you put your primer on. If not, you're just going to be double stacking orange peel on top of orange peel on top of orange peel if you don't take it out of each step. So 320'd the whole thing, and then I took my wet 230 paper that is already wore down, so it's probably closer to like a 600 actually, because it's pretty wore out, and I just ran over the edges. So when I do my 320, you can see right here, I only go to right there, just like with wet sanding, and I only go to right there. I don't run that DA over the edges, because that's how you make a flat spot, especially in a fiberglass part, and that is never going to be good. So all I did was the flats with the DA, and then took the wet sandpaper in your hand and basically just went over all of the edges. I flattened all this out where this hood went down and curved. Sometimes when you make that cut, you leave a little tiny bit of kick out from where you cut it too far this way technically. So I made sure that we sanded all of this flat so that it goes straight down. Ran around all the edges and then scuffed it down with Scotch-Brite, just like the last part, just to make sure we have everything, all the adhesion. Scotch-Brite, Dawn dish soap, water. Rinsed it off. It's ready for primer too once it dries. On to the next piece. All right, well, our easy stuff is over with now. The hood and the deck lid was the easy ones. Now we are on to the harder stuff, unfortunately. So here's our rear bumper. It's going to be a little easier, believe it or not, than the front one, but it's still an absolute train wreck, and will probably still take quite a bit of time to fix it. So we have a ton of orange peel and just crap all on this molding. I don't know if this thing was spray painted. It definitely has multiple layers of paint on it. As you can see the gloss black, and then you can see a gray, and then you can see a textured factory black underneath it. So we've got a train wreck to deal with. This sucks, but what we're gonna do is, this is plastic, so you need to be careful when you're sanding it, because you can easily cut through on the edges really fast. We're going to take our DA, put some 180 grit on it first, and give that a try, and see if we can just sand all this down and feather edge all of this out. So this is all chipping and thick, so we got to get a lot of this stuff off, but the trick is to get it all off, but not to get too bad into your plastic, because you'll literally just keep sanding your plastic down, if you're not careful. All right, so we're about to Scotch-Brite down our bumper. A little soap and water. What we've done is took our 180 and sanded on it for hours on end, it feels like, to get it all down. So basically what you have to do is, the reason why this is felling is because it has multiple layers of paint. Actually, looks like we need to do some more sanding right here real fast. But it has multiple layers of paint over top of felled paint. So what people do is, when it gets a crack, they bury it. When that cracks, they bury it. They just keep burying it and burying it and burying it, and it never goes away. You actually can't fix these cracks, so this thing will actually always crack for the most part. Here's why. This is all the way down to the plastic, and as you can see right there in the yellow, you can see all the cracks. Okay, now this is gouges where somebody's took body filler in there and filled it in over the years. Them are gouges, but them are actually stress cracks, spider cracks from getting rear-ended, bumped into, backing into something, somebody pushing on it, whatever. There's a stress cracks right there. All of these are gouges and scratches in the top. They do not look like stress cracks. Them long ones right there are going to be stress cracks mixed in, but the other ones are gouges. These are all going to be scratches, it looks like. This is stress cracks, so you can kind of see clear as day the difference. I think that one's going to be a gouge or a scratch, not a stress crack. Definitely stress cracks here. This is the remnants of old body filler. So as you can see, we've got stress cracks in the plastic, and then we've got stress cracks that come all the way up through the body filler, the old body filler. However, this is smooth, so I'm not taking any more off because I know that it's pretty much pointless at this point. Sadly, the customer is going to have to deal with this. There's not a good way to necessarily do this. He might be good for a year, might be good for 2 years, 3 years, but at some point when this thing flexes just right in the sun or whatever, these cracks are going to open up underneath the paint, and it's probably going to split it all the way up to the top. It might be microscopic where you can't really see it, but they're going to be there. All of this is stress cracks. So stress cracks are just where the plastic has took a stress, like I said, normally from getting hit or something, and the actual crack, the plastic is been cracked, and that goes all the way up to the paint. So pretty simple stuff. Sadly, when you're restoring these older ones, there's just no real way that I have found to avoid it. I have did a Trans Am bumper back in the day. That was a personal vehicle of mine that had tons of stress cracks in it, and I put sanded it all the way down, put quite a few layers of primer on it, had it thing slick as glass, and it lasted about 6 months, and then you can start seeing the spider cracks back in the clear again. So it is what it is with something like this. We're going to do the best we can. Obviously, the best we can do is remove all of the failed paint off and build our way back up, but we can't do nothing with the plastic. I mean, it's just one of them things where there's nothing you can do about it. We're going to paint this. We'll go over another video with products that can easily be duplicated again, because this is going to be the color of the car, bumper is going to be black, the actual trim. So we're going to make sure our black is easily duplicated if he needs a local body shop near him at some point to match a new bumper or whatever, but we're going to work with what we got. That's the reason why I am so concerned about this front end, or not looking forward to it, because the amount of stress that this front end has had on it and the amount of cracks. This is going to take a ton of work, because this little bumper alone took a ton of sanding this morning. So we get this Scotch Brighted up, get this chunk in the bumper, or in the booth, and we're going to prime the back bumper, the hood, the deck lid, and the shell of the car this afternoon.